I've always believed that when you know someone for years, you can predict their every move, their favorite snack, their worst fears, the way their voice changes when they're excited or hiding something. My best friend, Ethan, was that kind of person to me. We'd been inseparable since middle school. He was the kind of friend who would show up at my house at 2 a.m. just because I sent a text saying I couldn't sleep. We went through everything together. Heartbreaks, failed exams, family drama, all of it. So when he stopped replying to my messages one ordinary Tuesday, I didn't think much of it at first. NNTHE first day of silence was unusual, but not alarming. Maybe he was busy. Maybe he'd lost his phone. I sent him another text. Just a dumb meme, the kind we'd usually send each other 20 times a day. No reply. By the second day, the worry started creeping in. I called him, straight to voicemail. I messaged him on every social media account he had. Nothing. The scene receipts weren't even there. It was like he had vanished. And I told myself not to overreact, but I couldn't help it. By the end of the week, I had created 100 scenarios in my head. Maybe he'd been in an accident. Maybe something had happened to his family. Or, and this one hurt the most, maybe he didn't want to be my friend anymore. That last thought gnawed at me like an old wound reopening. We'd never had a fight big enough to break us apart, but what if I had said something I didn't realize hurt him? What if he just decided I wasn't worth keeping around? NNTWO weeks passed. No Ethan. I started noticing his absence everywhere. The empty chair next to me at lunch, the unanswered messages piling up in our group chat, the way people would ask, "Hey, have you heard from him?" And I'd have to shake my head with that awkward half smile that meant, no, and it's killing me. I even went by his apartment, but no one answered. NNTHE worst part was the silence. Not knowing is a cruel kind of torture. It's like your mind refuses to accept the stillness and keeps filling it with louder, scarier possibilities. NNBY the third week, I gave up. I stopped messaging him. I deleted the draft text I'd been rewriting every night, the one that said, "Please just tell me you're okay." It felt like begging someone to stay in your life when they'd already decided to leave. So I forced myself to move on, and then life became quieter. I stopped checking my phone every 5 minutes. I started spending time with other friends, though it never felt the same. Ethan was always the one person I could truly be myself with. Without him, everything felt muted. Then came that rainy Friday night. I was sitting in my room, headphones on, scrolling aimlessly when I heard it, a knock on the door. Not a loud, urgent knock, but a steady, almost hesitant one. I didn't think much of it at first, probably a delivery guy at the wrong address. But then I heard it again. 3 slow knocks, and I walked to the door, annoyed at whoever decided to disturb me in the middle of my doom-scrolling session. I swung it open, and there he was. Ethan, NNHE, looked exactly the same, yet completely different. Same messy hair, same hoodie he'd worn 100 times, but there was something in his eyes, something heavy, like he'd been carrying a storm inside him. Before I could say anything, he whispered, "Hey," just that, no explanation, no apology. My brain was a mess of relief, confusion, and anger. I wanted to hug him, but I also wanted to yell at him for disappearing without a word. Instead, I stepped aside and let him in. NNHE walked in slowly, like he wasn't sure he was welcome. We sat on opposite ends of the couch, the air thick with unspoken words. Finally, I asked, "Where have you been?" NHI's shoulders slumped. He didn't look at me when he said, "I messed up," and I waited, my chest tight. "I didn't mean to ghost you," he continued. I've been dealing with stuff, bad stuff. And I didn't know how to tell you without dragging you into it. I thought I could handle it alone, but the longer I stayed away, the harder it got to come back. And I didn't interrupt. NNHE took a deep breath. "It's my dad. He's been sick for a while, but it got worse. We had to move him into the hospital, and I've been back and forth every day. I didn't want you to see me like that. Tired, angry, not fun to be around. I thought maybe if I just disappeared for a bit, I could come back when things were better." I felt a wave of guilt crash over me. All those weeks, I'd been making up stories about why he left, and the truth was so much heavier than anything I'd imagined. "Ethan," I said softly, "you could have told me." "I know," he whispered. "I was scared you'd see me differently, that you'd feel sorry for me. I didn't want our friendship to be pity." NTHAT broke me. Without thinking, I moved closer and put my hand on his shoulder. "You're my best friend. I don't care if you're happy, sad, angry, or falling apart. I just care that you're here." NNFOR the first time in weeks. He smiled. Not a big one. Just enough to let me know he'd heard me. NNWE spent the rest of the night talking. Not about the details of his dad's illness. He wasn't ready for that yet. But about everything else. Stupid memories, inside jokes, things we'd missed. It felt like slipping into an old, worn sweater that still fit perfectly. As the rain tapped against the windows, I realized something. Sometimes friendship isn't about being there for the fun, easy moments. It's about sitting with someone in their silence, even if you don't understand it at first. Nathan didn't promise it wouldn't happen again. Life doesn't work like that. But he did promise that next time, he'd tell me when he was hurting instead of disappearing, and that was enough for me. Weeks later, things weren't magically fixed. His dad was still sick. Some days, Ethan still went quiet. But now I knew when it was coming, and I didn't take it personally. We learned to exist in the quiet together. Looking back, those 3 weeks without him taught me something I didn't expect. That real friendship isn't fragile. It can survive silence, distance, even fear. Because when the knock finally comes, and you open the door, the person standing there is still the same one you've known all along.